It wasn't the blood soaking through the sheets faster than the nurses could change them. It wasn't even the terror in the young doctor's eyes as my blood pressure dropped to dangerous levels. The worst part was looking toward the door of the delivery room and realizing my husband still wasn't there. "Mrs. Coleman, I need you to stay with me," Dr. Harrison said, her voice tight with controlled panic. "We're going to get you through this." But I could see the truth in her eyes. I was dying. My body was giving up after 18 hours of labor, and the man who promised to love me through sickness and health was somewhere else, taking another work call. The fluorescent lights above me started to blur. Voices became distant like I was underwater. I heard someone shout for more blood. Felt the sharp sting of another 4. Through the small window in the door, I saw movement in the waiting room. For a second, hope flared in my chest. Maybe Brandon had finally come back. Then I saw her. Sienna Martinez. My husband's colleague. The woman he swore was just a friend from the office. She was standing by the window looking directly into my delivery room. And she was smiling. Not a nervous smile. Not a sympathetic smile. It was cold, calculating, and satisfied. Like she was watching something she'd been waiting for. Our eyes met for just a moment before my vision started to tunnel. The last thing I heard before everything went black was the steady beep of my heart monitor becoming one long, endless tone. I don't remember dying. I don't remember the doctors performing CPR or the emergency surgery to stop the bleeding. I don't remember them finally delivering my twins, both so small and fragile they could barely cry. What I do remember is the darkness. And then, 3 days later, the light. "Mrs. Coleman? Tasha? Can you hear me?" My eyes felt like they were glued shut. My throat was raw, filled with the taste of plastic and medicine. Every part of my body hurt in ways I couldn't describe. But I was alive. "Take it slow," a gentle voice said. A nurse with kind brown eyes came into focus above me. "You've been through a lot. You're in ICU. You've been unconscious for 3 days. 3 days. The words didn't make sense at first. Then it hit me like a freight train. "My babies," I tried to say, but it came out as a broken whisper. "My babies." The nurse's expression softened. "They're alive, honey. Both of them. A boy and a girl. They're in the NICU, but they're fighters. Just like their mama." Tears streamed down my face, burning my dry skin. I had twins. They were alive. I was alive. But where was Brandon? "Your mother and friend are here," the nurse continued. "They've been by your side since you came out of surgery. Should I get them?" I nodded weakly. A few minutes later, my mother Dorothy rushed in, followed by my best friend Nicole. Both of them looked exhausted, their eyes red from crying. They hugged me carefully, mindful of all the tubes and wires connected to my body. "Baby girl," my mother sobbed, stroking my hair. "We thought we lost you. The doctors said you were gone for almost 2 minutes." "The twins?" I whispered. "Beautiful," Nicole said, wiping her eyes. 3 pounds each. Tiny but strong. They look just like you, Tasha. "Brandon?" I had to ask, even though part of me already knew the answer. The room went silent. My mother and Nicole exchanged a look that told me everything I needed to know. "He was here," my mother finally said, her voice hard. "For about an hour on the first day. Then he left and hasn't been back since. He said he couldn't handle seeing you like this," Nicole added, anger dripping from every word. "Can you believe that? His wife almost dies giving birth to his children, and he can't handle it. But there was something they weren't telling me. I could see it in the way they kept glancing at each other, in the way my mother's jaw tightened. "What aren't you telling me?" I asked. Nicole bit her lip. "Tasha, there's something you need to know. And you need to hear it from us before you hear it from anyone else." My mother took my hand. "When they thought you were gone, when the doctors were trying to bring you back, there was a woman in the waiting room." "Sienna?" I said. "I saw her. Right before everything went black." "Yes." Nicole's voice shook with rage. "One of the nurses saw her. She was laughing, Tasha. While they were trying to save your life, that woman was standing out there laughing." The room started to spin. "Laughing?" The nurse reported it to security. They pulled the footage. My mother's grip on my hand tightened. "Baby, I'm so sorry. Brandon was with her. When you needed him most, when you were dying giving birth to his babies, he was in the parking lot with that woman." The machines around me started beeping faster as my heart rate spiked. A different nurse rushed in to check on me. "You need to stay calm, Mrs. Coleman," she said, adjusting my 4. "Your body is still healing." But how could I stay calm? My husband had abandoned me while I died. His mistress had laughed at my death. And somewhere in this hospital, my 2 tiny babies were fighting for their lives without their father caring enough to even visit them. Where is he now? I asked when the nurse left. Nicole looked away. We don't know. He won't answer our calls. His mother came by yesterday, but even she seemed confused about where he is. He posted on social media, my mother added reluctantly. Something about needing time to process everything. People with his wife and newborns. I closed my eyes trying to process everything. 3 days ago, I had a husband, a pregnancy, and a future I thought was secure. Now I had 2 premature babies, a body that had betrayed me, and the knowledge that the man I loved had betrayed me worse. I want to see them, I said. My babies. I need to see them. You're not strong enough yet, my mother protested. I don't care. I tried to sit up, gasping at the pain. I almost died. They almost died. I need to see them. Now. It took another day before the doctors would let me leave ICU. They wheeled me to the NICU in a wheelchair, my body still weak and broken. But the moment I saw them, everything else faded away. They were perfect. Impossibly small, covered in wires and tubes, but perfect. My son had my nose. My daughter had my lips. They were fighters, the nurses told me. Stronger than anyone expected for being born so early and under such traumatic circumstances. Have you chosen names? A NICU nurse asked. I hadn't. Brandon and I were supposed to choose together. But Brandon wasn't here. Brandon had chosen someone else over us. Caleb, I said, looking at my son. And Zoe. Beautiful names, the nurse said gently. You can touch them if you'd like. Skin contact helps preemies develop. I reached through the isolette opening and carefully placed my finger in Caleb's tiny palm. He gripped it with surprising strength. Then I did the same with Zoe. These were my children. Mine. And I would fight for them the way they were fighting to survive. Mrs. Coleman, a voice said behind me. I turned to see a hospital social worker with a concerned expression. I know this is a difficult time, but we need to discuss some things. Your husband listed himself as the primary contact for medical decisions, but he hasn't been available. We need to update your paperwork. Remove him, I said clearly, from everything. He's not making any decisions for me or my children. The social worker nodded. I understand. I'll get the paperwork started. Is there someone else you'd like to list? My mother, Dorothy Coleman. After the social worker left, I sat there with my babies for hours. Nurses came and went. Machines beeped. Other families visited their tiny fighters. But Brandon never came. On my 5th day in the hospital, a nurse I hadn't seen before came to check on the twins during my visit. Your babies are doing great, she said cheerfully. It's amazing how fast they're improving. When I heard about what happened during delivery, I wasn't sure they'd make it. You were there? I asked. Just starting my shift when they brought you in, she said. Then her face darkened. I've been a labor and delivery nurse for 15 years. I've seen a lot. But I've never seen anything like that woman outside your room. My blood ran cold. What did you see? She hesitated, then seemed to decide I deserved the truth. I was one of the nurses who ran out to get more blood. I passed by the waiting room window and I saw her. A tall woman with long dark hair, expensive clothes. She was on her phone, and when she looked into your room and saw what was happening, she smiled. Not a nervous smile. A real smile. Then she laughed and went back to her phone call like it was entertainment. Did you see who she was with? The nurse's expression turned sympathetic. A man was sitting near her. Brown hair, blue button-down shirt. He looked stressed, kept running his hands through his hair. When she laughed, he looked at her like he was shocked, but he didn't leave. He stayed right there with her. Brandon. He had watched his mistress laugh at my death and done nothing. I reported it to security, the nurse continued. It wasn't right. I don't know what was going on, but it wasn't right. I'm sorry you had to go through that. After she left, I sat there trembling with an emotion I'd never felt this intensely before. It wasn't sadness. It wasn't even heartbreak anymore. It was rage. Pure, crystallizing rage. Brandon had abandoned me when I needed him most. Sienna had laughed at my death. And somehow I had survived. My babies had survived. And I was going to make sure that neither of them ever forgot what they'd done. That night, Nicole brought my phone to the hospital. I'd been avoiding it, not ready to face the world. But I needed to know what was happening. I needed to see what Brandon had been doing while I fought for my life. His social media told me everything. 3 days ago, while I was unconscious, he posted a photo of a sunset with the caption, "Sometimes life takes you in unexpected directions. Learning to embrace change and find peace in the chaos." The who knew us were asking about me, about the babies. His responses were vague, saying he was dealing with a lot and taking things day by day. Not once did he mention that his wife had nearly died, that his children were in NICU, that he'd abandoned all of us. But the worst part was the likes. Sienna had liked the post, and supportive messages about him finding his happiness. I scrolled back further and found what I was looking for. 2 weeks before I went into labor, Brandon had posted a photo from a restaurant, a fancy place downtown that he told me was a work dinner. In the background, barely visible in the reflection of a window, was Sienna. They'd been together for months, maybe longer. While I was growing his children, dealing with morning sickness and swollen ankles and preparing our home for twins, he was building a life with someone else. "I'm going to destroy him," I whispered to the empty room. But even as I said it, I knew revenge wasn't about destruction. It was about something much more powerful. It was about taking everything he tried to break and building something so strong, so successful, so undeniable, that his betrayal became the worst mistake of his life. I placed my hands on my still swollen stomach, feeling the emptiness where my babies had been. But I wasn't empty. I was full of purpose, full of determination, full of a fire that Brandon's betrayal had ignited. He thought leaving me in my darkest moment would break me. Sienna thought my death would clear her path. They were both wrong. This was just the beginning. The hospital discharged me after 8 days, but Caleb and Zoe had to stay in the NICU. Every morning, my mother drove me back to the hospital so I could spend hours with them. Every evening, I went home to an empty apartment that still had all of Brandon's things in it. He hadn't come to get them, hadn't called, hadn't texted. It was like he'd vanished from our lives completely, except for the evidence of his existence scattered throughout our home. His clothes in the closet, his toothbrush by the sink, his coffee mug still in the dishwasher from the morning I went into labor. "You should pack his stuff up," Nicole said one evening. She'd been staying with me, refusing to let me be alone. "Throw it all in trash bags and leave it outside." "Not yet," I said. I was sitting on the couch, pumping milk for the twins. The hospital had given me an electric pump so I could build up their supply. It was painful and exhausting, but it was something I could do for them. I want him to see what he walked away from first. "Tasha, he's not coming back. You need to accept that." "I know he's not coming back." I stopped the pump and carefully labeled the bottles with today's date. "But he's going to have to face me eventually. Legal things. Custody. Divorce. And when he does, I want him to walk into this apartment and see everything he abandoned." Nicole didn't argue. She knew that look in my eyes. She'd seen it before, back in college when someone told me I couldn't make it in business school as a young black woman. I graduated top of my class. My phone buzzed. I glanced at it, expecting another supportive message from one of the many friends who'd reached out since word spread about what happened. Instead, it was a notification from Instagram. Brandon had posted again. I shouldn't have looked, but I couldn't help myself. The photo showed him at a beach, smiling at the camera. The caption read, "New beginnings. Grateful for second chances and the courage to choose happiness." He's at the beach? Nicole grabbed the phone from my hand. His wife almost died 10 days ago, his premature time. Some people were supportive, telling him to live his truth and choose joy. But others were starting to ask questions. Where were his kids? How was his wife? Why was he posting beach photos instead of hospital updates? Then I saw it. The heart emoji. That's it. Nicole was already dialing. "I'm calling Patricia Grant. She's the best divorce lawyer in the city. She'll tear him apart." "Not yet," I said. "What do you mean not yet?" "Tasha, he's flaunting his affair online while you're pumping milk for his babies." "I know, but I need to be smart about this." I took the phone back and screenshot the post. "I'm documenting everything. When I'm ready to move, I want it to be decisive." The next morning, my mother was quiet during the drive to the hospital. She kept glancing at me like she wanted to say something but didn't know how. "Just say it, Mom," I finally said. "Brandon's mother called me last night." I tensed. What did she want? She's worried about him. Says he's not answering her calls either. She asked if we'd heard from him. My mother's hands tightened on the steering wheel. I told her that her son abandoned his dying wife and hasn't once checked on his premature babies. You know what she said? What? She said there must be more to the story. That Brandon wouldn't do that without a good reason. That maybe I didn't understand the pressure he was under. I laughed bitterly. The pressure he was under? I almost died. His children almost died. But sure, let's worry about his pressure. I hung up on her, my mother said. I've known that woman for 5 years. I thought she was better than that. I was wrong. At the hospital, Caleb and Zoe were awake and alert. The NICU doctor, Dr. Reynolds, gave me an update that brought tears to my eyes. "They're exceeding all our expectations," he said. "Caleb's breathing is getting stronger. Zoe's off the feeding tube. If they keep improving at this rate, they might be able to go home in 2 or 3 weeks." Really? It was the first good news I'd had since this nightmare began. Really? They're fighters. Dr. Reynolds hesitated. Has their father been in to see them? We like to have both parents involved in the NICU care plan. He won't be involved, I said firmly. It's just me. The doctor nodded, understanding without needing details. Then we'll work with just you. You're doing an amazing job, Tasha. These babies are lucky to have you. After Dr. Reynolds left, I sat between the isolates, my hands resting on each baby. A young couple was in the corner with their premature daughter, both parents taking turns holding her. The father was crying, overwhelmed with love for his tiny child. That should have been Brandon. He should have been here, crying tears of joy, marveling at our miracle babies. Instead, he was at the beach with his mistress, posting about new beginnings. "Mrs. Coleman?" A woman in a security uniform approached me. "I'm Officer Jenkins. I was on duty the night of your delivery. Could I speak with you for a moment?" We went to a small consultation room. Officer Jenkins pulled out a tablet and showed me security footage from the night I almost died. "The nurse who reported the incident asked me to pull this," she explained. "I'm showing it to you because you have a right to know what happened. But I want to warn you, it's disturbing." The footage showed the waiting room outside the delivery area. Timestamp, 11:47 p.m. The night I flatlined. There was Brandon pacing back and forth. He looked agitated, stressed. Then Sienna walked in carrying 2 coffee cups. She handed one to Brandon and sat down next to him. They talked for a few minutes. I couldn't hear what they were saying, but their body language spoke volumes. She kept touching his arm, leaning close. He looked torn, conflicted. Then the energy in the hallway changed. Nurses started running. A doctor rushed past. The code blue alarm sounded. Through the window, you could see the chaos in my delivery room. Brandon stood up, looking toward the room. For a moment, I thought he might go in. But Sienna grabbed his hand and pulled him back down. She said something to him and he sat. Then came the part that made my blood run cold. Sienna looked directly at the window showing my delivery room. She watched the doctors performing CPR on me, and she smiled. Not a small smile. A full, satisfied smile. Then she laughed, put her hand over her mouth like she was trying to hide it, but she was definitely laughing. A nurse ran past them, and Sienna quickly composed herself. But the moment the nurse was gone, she turned to Brandon and said something that made him look shocked. He pulled away from her, staring at her like he was seeing her for the first time. But he didn't leave. He stayed in that chair while his wife died and his children were born. The footage ended. I sat there numb. "There's more," Officer Jenkins said quietly. "This is from the parking lot about 30 minutes later." The second video showed Brandon and Sienna walking to a car. They were arguing. He kept gesturing back toward the hospital. She kept shaking her head. Finally, she got in the driver's seat of a sleek black car. Brandon stood there for a moment, looking back at the hospital entrance. Then he got in the passenger seat and they drove away. "He left," I whispered. "While I was in emergency surgery, while they were trying to stabilize the twins, he left with her." "I'm sorry," Officer Jenkins said. "I've been doing this job for 12 years. I've seen a lot. But this is one of the worst betrayals I've ever witnessed. That woman was happy you were dying. And your husband let her be. Can I have copies of this footage? I've already made copies for you. Both videos, multiple angles. If you need them for any legal proceedings, they're yours." She handed me a flash drive. "I hope you and your babies get the justice you deserve." That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept seeing Sienna's smile, Brandon's conflicted face, the way he chose her over me even in my darkest moment. Nicole found me at 2 a.m., sitting in the nursery we'd prepared for the twins, holding the flash drive. "You should destroy him with that footage," Nicole said. "I will," I promised. "But not yet. I need to be strategic. I need to think like a survivor, not a victim." "You are a survivor, Tasha. You died and came back. You're a literal survivor. Then I need to act like it." The next day, I made a phone call I'd been putting off. I called Brandon. He answered on the 5th ring, his voice cautious. "Tasha? Your children are in the hospital," I said calmly. "They're fighting for their lives. And you haven't seen them once." Silence. Then, "I know. I'm sorry. I needed some time to process everything." "Process what exactly? That you're a father? That your wife almost died? Or that your mistress laughed while I was being resuscitated? How did you know about? He stopped himself. It's not what you think. Really? Because I have security footage that shows exactly what it is. You left me to die so you could be with her. She laughed at my death and you sat there and let her. Tasha, please. It's complicated. No, it's simple. You're a coward who abandoned his family. And I'm going to make sure everyone knows it. Don't threaten me, he said, his voice hardening. You don't understand what I've been going through. What you've been going through? I laughed, and it sounded harsh even to my own ears. I died, Brandon. My heart stopped. I've been cut open, stitched back together, and I'm pumping milk every 3 hours for babies who are so small they fit in the palm of my hand. But please tell me about what you've been going through. I want a divorce, he blurted out. I'm sorry, but I can't do this anymore. The stress, the responsibility, all of it. I can't. The line went dead quiet. I'd expected this, but hearing him say it still felt like a knife to the gut. Fine, I said. But you don't get to walk away without consequences. I'll give you your divorce. But I'm keeping full custody of Caleb and Zoe, the apartment, and half of everything else. And if you try to fight me on any of it, I'll release that security footage to every news outlet in the city. You wouldn't. Try me. I hung up. My hands were shaking, but I felt powerful. For the first time since this nightmare began, I felt like I had some control. Nicole was right. I needed Patricia Grant. I needed to move forward with the divorce before Brandon could hide assets or build a case against me. I needed to protect my children and myself. That afternoon, while my mother stayed with the twins, Nicole drove me to Patricia Grant's office. Patricia was a black woman in her 50s with a reputation for destroying cheating husbands in court. I've heard about your case, Patricia said after we sat down. The whole legal community is talking about it. Hospital abandonment during a near-death experience, premature twins, documented affair. This is cut and dry. I have more, I said and pulled out the flash drive. Security footage of his mistress laughing at my death. Him leaving with her during my emergency surgery. Everything. Patricia watched the footage, her expression getting harder with each second. When it ended, she looked at me with something like respect. We're going to destroy him, she said. Not just in court, in life. He'll regret the day he walked out of that hospital. I want full custody. I want him to have supervised visitation only, and only if he completes parenting classes and pays child support on time. I want the apartment and half of all marital assets. And I want this done fast before he can prepare. Done. I'll file emergency custody and divorce papers today. We'll use the security footage as evidence of emotional abuse and abandonment. The judge will love this. Patricia paused. But I have to ask, are you ready for how ugly this is going to get? He left me to die, I said. She laughed at my death. They made their choices. Now they get to live with the consequences. Patricia smiled. I like you, Tasha Coleman. You're going to be just fine. By the end of the week, Brandon had been served with divorce papers and emergency custody orders. His lawyer called Patricia, angry and blustering about my threats and blackmail. It's not blackmail to use evidence in court, Patricia told me after the call. He's scared. Good. He should be. But what Brandon didn't know was that I wasn't just planning to destroy him in court. I was planning something bigger. Something that would take time but would be worth it. I was going to rebuild my life so completely, so successfully, that his betrayal would become the catalyst for my greatest transformation. I was going to take the worst thing that ever happened to me and turn it into my power. The divorce papers were filed on a Tuesday. By Wednesday, my phone wouldn't stop ringing. Brandon's family was calling, his friends were calling, even some of our mutual acquaintances were calling to tell me I was being too harsh, too cold, too unwilling to work things out. He made a mistake, Brandon's cousin Rachel said on a voicemail. We all make mistakes. You can't keep his children from him over one bad decision. One bad decision. Like abandoning your dying wife was equivalent to forgetting to take out the trash. I deleted the message and blocked her number. You need to stop answering calls from people you don't know, Nicole said. She'd appointed herself as my personal bodyguard and life manager. They're all Team Brandon, trying to guilt you into backing down. Let them try, I said. I was feeding Caleb with a bottle, sitting in the NICU beside Zoe's isolette. The babies were 2 weeks old now and growing stronger every day. Caleb was up to 4 pounds. Zoe was almost there. I'm not backing down from anything. My mother walked in carrying a bag from our favorite soul food restaurant. I brought you lunch. You need to eat, baby. You're getting too thin. I'm fine, Mom. You're not fine. You're running on adrenaline and anger. That's not sustainable. She set the food down and looked at me seriously. I'm proud of you for standing up for yourself, but I'm also worried. You need to take care of yourself too, not just the babies. I am taking care of myself. When was the last time you slept more than 4 hours? When was the last time you ate a meal that wasn't hospital cafeteria food? When was the last time you did anything that wasn't related to the babies or the divorce? I didn't have an answer. The truth was I couldn't remember. The last 2 weeks had been a blur of hospital visits, lawyer meetings, pumping milk, and falling into bed exhausted only to wake up a few hours later to do it all again. I'll rest when the babies come home, I said. That's when things will get harder, my mother countered. You need to build your strength now while you have help. Before I could respond, my phone buzzed. It was a text from an unknown number. You're making a huge mistake. Brandon loves you. He's just confused. Give him another chance. That's the 5th text like that today, I told Nicole, showing her the message. Sienna, Nicole said immediately. Or one of her friends. They're trying to mess with your head. It's not working. But that wasn't entirely true. Each message, each call, each person telling me I was wrong chipped away at my armor just a little. Not because I believed them, but because it was exhausting to constantly defend myself. Then came Thursday. And Thursday changed everything. I was at home, finally getting some rest like my mother insisted, when someone knocked on my apartment door. I looked through the peephole and saw a man in a suit holding a manila envelope. Tasha Coleman? He asked when I opened the door. Yes. You've been served. He handed me the envelope and walked away. My hands shook as I opened it. Inside were legal documents. But they weren't from Brandon's lawyer. They were from Brandon himself. He was suing me for full custody of Caleb and Zoe. The documents claimed I was an unfit mother. That my mental instability following the birth made me dangerous. That my threats to release private videos showed vindictive behavior. That the children would be better off in a stable home environment with their father and his partner. His partner. He'd actually written that. Sienna was already being positioned as the children's stepmother, and they weren't even divorced yet. I called Patricia immediately. I just got served, I said, my voice shaking with rage. Brandon is suing me for full custody. He's calling me unfit. Send me pictures of the documents right now, Patricia said. I could hear her typing in the background. That idiot just made the worst mistake of his life. I photographed every page and sent them over. 2 minutes later, Patricia called back. This is garbage. Complete garbage. His lawyer should be ashamed for even filing this. We have documentation of his abandonment, security footage of his mistress laughing at your near death, proof that he hasn't visited his children once since they were born. No judge in their right mind will give him custody. But he filed it. He actually had the nerve to call me unfit after what he did. I know. And we're going to use this. Patricia's voice turned sharp. We were going easy on him, Tasha. Filing for divorce and custody, but keeping the details private. He just declared war. So now we go nuclear. What does that mean? It means we release everything. The security footage, the hospital records, the social media posts. We file a countersuit for emotional distress and abandonment. We make sure every judge, every lawyer, every person in this city knows exactly what Brandon Coleman did to his family. Do it, I said without hesitation. By Friday, Patricia had filed our response. It included the security footage of Sienna laughing at my death, hospital records showing Brandon left during my emergency surgery, screenshots of his beach vacation posts while his babies were in NICU, testimony from nurses who witnessed his abandonment, financial records showing he'd been supporting Sienna's lifestyle for months, text messages between Brandon and Sienna that his lawyer had been stupid enough to include in discovery. The response brief was devastating. Patricia didn't just defend me. She destroyed him. That same day, a local news reporter somehow got wind of the story. By Saturday, it was everywhere. Local man abandons dying wife and newborn twins for mistress, read one headline. Mistress caught laughing on security footage as woman dies in childbirth, read another. My phone exploded with messages. Supportive ones this time. Women sharing their own stories of betrayal. Men condemning Brandon's actions. Strangers offering help, money, support, anything I needed. Brandon's social media accounts went private. Sienna's did too. But it was too late. The internet had screenshots of everything. How are you doing? Nicole asked that evening. We were at my apartment watching the news coverage. I feel like I should be happy, I admitted. He's being exposed. Everyone knows what he did. But I just feel empty. That's normal. You're grieving the life you thought you had. I thought we'd raise our children together. I thought we'd grow old together. I thought he loved me. I wiped away tears. How did I not see this coming? Because you're not a mind reader. And because he's a good liar. Nicole put her arm around me. But here's what you need to remember. His betrayal isn't a reflection of your worth. It's a reflection of his character. Or lack thereof. Sunday morning, I woke up to a text from Brandon. Can we please talk? In person? This has gotten out of control. I showed it to Patricia before responding. Don't meet him alone, she advised. If you do meet him, do it in a public place with witnesses. Record the conversation on your phone. Don't agree to anything without running it by me first. I'm not sure I want to meet him at all. That's also an option. You don't owe him anything, Tasha. But part of me needed to see him. To look him in the eye and ask him why. Why he threw away our family. Why he chose her. Why he wasn't strong enough to stay. The coffee shop near the hospital. I texted back. Tomorrow at 2 p.m. Come alone. He agreed immediately. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about what I wanted to say to him. All the anger, all the hurt, all the betrayal. But I also thought about the man I'd fallen in love with 7 years ago. The man who proposed under the stars. The man who cried when I showed him the positive pregnancy test. Where had that man gone? Or had he ever really existed? Monday came too quickly. My mother insisted on coming with me, sitting at a table nearby in case I needed her. Nicole wanted to come too, but I told her one backup was enough. Brandon arrived exactly at 2 p.m. He looked terrible. His eyes were sunken, his hair was messy, and he'd lost weight. He sat down across from me without meeting my eyes. Thank you for meeting me, he said quietly. I'm only here because I want answers, I said. And because my lawyer thought it might be useful to hear what you have to say. He flinched at the mention of Patricia. I want to drop the custody suit. Good. Because you never had a chance of winning it anyway. I know. My lawyer told me the same thing. He said I was an idiot for filing it. Brandon finally looked at me. Tasha, I'm sorry. For everything. I know that doesn't fix anything, but I need you to know I'm sorry. Sorry for which part? Abandoning me while I died? Leaving our premature babies in the hospital? Having an affair for God knows how long? Or trying to call me unfit after all of that? All of it. I don't know what happened to me. It's like I had a breakdown or something. Sienna was there and she made everything seem so easy, so simple. No responsibilities, no stress, just fun. And I got caught up in it. She laughed at my death, I said. While doctors were trying to bring me back to life, she stood there and laughed. And you stayed with her after seeing that. What does that say about you? Brandon's face crumbled. I was in shock. I didn't know how to process what I was seeing. By the time I realized how messed up it was, we were already in the car leaving. You had dozens of chances to come back, to check on your children, to be there for them. You chose not to. I was scared, he admitted. Scared of being a father. Scared of losing you. Scared of failing. So I ran. And I kept running until I realized I'd run so far I couldn't find my way back. That's the first honest thing you've said to me in months. I leaned forward. But here's the truth, Brandon. You don't get to come back. You made your choice. You chose her, and then when that blew up in your face because the whole world saw what a terrible person she is, you thought you could come crawling back to me. That's not what this is. Yes, it is. You didn't come back because you love me or because you love Caleb and Zoe. You came back because your reputation is destroyed and you're facing the consequences of your actions for the first time in your life. So what do you want from me? He asked, anger creeping into his voice. I want you to sign away your parental rights, I said calmly. I want you to agree to a clean divorce where I get full custody, you pay child support, and we never have to see each other again. I can't do that. They're my children. No, they're my children. You haven't earned the right to call them yours. You don't know what Caleb's favorite lullaby is. You don't know that Zoe hates having her feet touched. You don't know that they're finally up to 5 pounds each or that they're coming home next week. You don't know anything about them because you chose not to be there. Brandon stood up. Fine. If you want a war, we'll have a war. I won't sign away my rights. Go ahead, I said. Bring your girlfriend to court. Let the judge hear how she laughed at my death. Let everyone see what kind of man you really are. I'm not afraid of you anymore, Brandon. He stormed out of the coffee shop. My mother immediately came over to my table. Are you okay? I'm perfect, I said. And I meant it. For the first time since this nightmare began, I felt truly powerful. Brandon had tried to intimidate me and I'd stood my ground. He tried to make me doubt myself, and I'd thrown his failures back in his face. That night, I sat in the nursery and made a list. Not a list of everything Brandon had taken from me, but a list of everything I was going to build. Bring Caleb and Zoe home healthy. Finalize the divorce. Start building a business. Create a life so good that Brandon's betrayal becomes irrelevant. Nicole found me there at midnight, still working on my list. "What are you doing?" she asked. "Planning my future," I said. "Brandon thinks he broke me. He thinks I'll spend the rest of my life angry and bitter. He's wrong. I'm going to take all this pain and turn it into power. How? I don't know yet, but I'll figure it out." I looked at the empty cribs waiting for my babies. They deserve a mother who's a survivor, not a victim. Someone who shows them that betrayal doesn't define you. Your response to it does. Nicole smiled. There she is. There's the Tasha Coleman I know. The one who doesn't back down from anything. She never left, I said. She was just catching her breath. The next week, Caleb and Zoe were finally cleared to come home. I'd been preparing for this moment for weeks, reading every parenting book I could find, taking infant care classes at the hospital, making sure their nursery was perfect. My mother and Nicole helped me bring them home. We carried them through the door like they were made of glass, carefully placing them in their cribs. They were so small, so fragile, but they were fighters, just like their mother. That night, for the first time in a month, I slept more than 2 hours. Not because things were easier, but because I finally felt like I was exactly where I was supposed to be. In my apartment with my children, building a future that belonged to us and only us. Brandon had walked away thinking he was escaping responsibility. What he'd actually done was set me free. Having Caleb and Zoe home was harder than I'd imagined. They were on different feeding schedules. They cried at different times. Sometimes they cried at the same time. I was surviving on 3 hours of sleep and cold coffee. But I'd never been happier. "You're literally glowing," Nicole said one morning. She'd stayed over to help with the night feeding. "I mean, you look exhausted and you have baby spit up on your shoulder, but you're glowing." "I feel like myself again," I said, rocking Zoe while Caleb slept in his bassinet. 4 weeks, I felt like a victim of Brandon's betrayal. Now I feel like a mother. And that's so much more powerful. "Have you heard from him?" Nicole asked carefully. "His lawyer sent an email. He wants supervised visitation rights. 2 hours every other weekend." I laughed. Patricia told them to go to hell. She said until he pays child support, completes parenting classes, and apologizes publicly for his abandonment, he gets nothing. Good. Make him work for it. But making Brandon work for it wasn't my main focus anymore. I had bigger plans. While feeding the twins or rocking them to sleep, I'd been thinking about what Nicole had said weeks ago. About turning my pain into power. I started an Instagram account called Surviving Betrayal. I didn't show my face at first, didn't use my real name. The affair. The abandonment. The mistress laughing at my death. My survival. My twins. Within a week, I had 10,000 followers. Within 2 weeks, I had 50,000. By the end of the month, I had 200,000 followers and dozens of messages every day from women sharing their own stories of betrayal and survival. "This Tasha, people are obsessed with your story. You need to monetize this." "How?" "Write a blog. Start a community. Women need this. They need to know they're not alone." So that's what I did. While the twins napped, I wrote. I created content about healing, about single motherhood, about standing up for yourself. I interviewed other women who'd survived betrayal. The response was overwhelming. Women from all over the country were reaching out, sharing their stories, asking for advice. Some were going through divorces. Some were considering leaving. Some just needed to know they weren't crazy for feeling hurt. I wasn't just building a social media following. I was building a movement. By the time Caleb and Zoe were 3 months old, my platform had grown to 500,000 followers. A literary agent reached out, asking if I'd consider writing a book. A production company wanted to option my story for a film. "This is happening," Nicole said, helping me sort through business opportunities. "You're actually doing it. You're turning your tragedy into an empire." But not everyone was happy about my success. Brandon's lawyer sent a cease and desist letter, claiming I was defaming him by sharing our story publicly. Patricia laughed when she read it. "They have no case. Everything you're saying is true and documented. They're just mad because he's facing consequences." "Let them be mad," I said. "I'm not stopping." The divorce was finalized 4 months after the twins were born. I got full custody. Brandon was granted supervised visitation twice a month, contingent on paying child support and completing parenting classes. He also had to pay me a settlement that would cover the twins' expenses for years. He showed up to his first supervised visit 3 weeks later. I brought the twins to the visitation center, a neutral space where a social worker would monitor his time with them. "They're so big," Brandon said when he saw them. His eyes filled with tears. "I can't believe how much they've grown." "That's what happens when you're not around," I said coolly. "They grow up without you." "Tasha, please. Can we talk?" "No. You have 2 hours with your children. Use it wisely." I left the visitation center and sat in my car, trying not to think about Brandon in there with Caleb and Zoe, trying not to imagine him holding them, talking to them, playing dad after months of absence. But when I picked them up 2 hours later, the social worker pulled me aside. "He spent most of the time on his phone," she said quietly. "The babies were crying and he didn't know what to do. He asked me to feed them, change them, help him with everything. It was sad, honestly." "Did he hurt them?" "No, nothing like that. He just had no idea how to be a father. He tried, but it was clear he's never spent time with them before." I wasn't surprised. Brandon wanted the idea of being a father, not the reality. He wanted the Christmas card photo, not the 3 a.m. feedings and dirty diapers. "How will you note this in your report?" I asked. "I'll document that he engaged minimally with the children and required extensive assistance from staff. It won't look good if he tries for unsupervised visitation. Good. Let the court see what kind of father he really was." My social media presence continued to grow. By the time the twins turned 6 months old, I had close to 1 million followers and had signed a book deal. The book was titled Surviving His Betrayal: A Single Mother's Journey from Death to Empowerment. I spent the twins' nap times writing, pouring everything into the manuscript. The affair, the hospital, the abandonment, my recovery, my fight for custody. Every painful detail, every moment of weakness, every victory. "This is powerful," my editor said after reading the first draft. "Women are going to connect with this on such a deep level." "That's the point," I said. "I want them to know they're not alone. That betrayal doesn't have to destroy you." The book was scheduled to release in 6 months. In advice, interviewed experts, and created a community of women supporting each other. About self-worth. In it, I talked about how Sienna's cruelty had actually been a gift. It had shown me exactly who I was dealing with. It had removed any doubt that leaving was the right choice. "She laughed at my death," I said in the video. "And in doing so, she freed me from any guilt about destroying my marriage. Because my marriage was already destroyed by people who didn't value me." Her laughter was just the evidence I needed to walk away without looking back. The video got 2 million views in a week. "You're my hero," one woman wrote. "This gave me the courage to leave my cheating husband," another said. The success came with backlash. Sienna created a social media account and started posting her own version of events. According to her, she and Brandon were in love, and I was a bitter ex-wife who couldn't let go. "Brandon was unhappy for years," she claimed in one post. "I didn't break up a happy marriage. I saved him from a miserable one." People who'd been following my story descended on her account, calling her out for laughing at my death, for enabling Brandon's abandonment of his children. "Imagine being proud of dating a man who abandoned his dying wife," another wrote. Sienna's account went private after 3 days. But the damage was done. She tried to rewrite history, and the internet had fact-checked her with security footage and hospital records. Meanwhile, Brandon was spiraling. He'd lost his job after the story went public. His family had distanced themselves from him, embarrassed by the negative attention. His friends had abandoned him one by one. He started showing up drunk to supervised visitations, which resulted in them being canceled. His child support payments were late, then stopped altogether. Patricia filed for contempt of court. "He's destroying himself," she told me during one of our meetings. "We don't even have to do anything. He's doing it all on his own." "I almost feel sorry for him," I admitted. "Don't. He made these choices. He's living with the consequences." By the time Caleb and Zoe turned 1 year old, my life was unrecognizable from that night in the hospital. I had a thriving business, a book coming out, and a community of hundreds of thousands of women supporting each other. I was making more money than I'd ever made working a regular job. I'd moved out of our old apartment into a beautiful house with a yard where the twins could play. I'd hired help so I could balance work and motherhood. I'd built an empire from the ashes of my marriage. The book launch was scheduled for a Tuesday in October, exactly 1 year after Brandon had abandoned me in the hospital. Patricia thought the timing was perfect. "It's symbolic," she said. 1 year ago he tried to destroy you. Now you're launching a book that will inspire millions. The launch party was at a bookstore in downtown. Nicole and my mother helped me get ready. I wore a red dress, not black like I'd originally planned. Red for power, for passion, for the fire that had kept me going through the darkest times. The store was packed. Women lined up around the block to get signed copies of the book. Some of them brought gifts for the twins. Others just wanted to hug me and thank me for sharing my story. "You saved my life," one woman said, tears streaming down her face. "I was going to stay with my cheating husband because I didn't think I could make it on my own. Your story showed me I could." "You saved yourself," I told her. "I just showed you it was possible." Halfway through the signing, someone familiar walked in. My heart stopped for a second when I saw who it was. Brandon's mother. She approached my table slowly, looking older than I remembered. When she reached me, she didn't say anything at first. She just stared at the book in her hands. "I'm sorry," she finally said, "for not believing you, for defending him when he didn't deserve it, for not being there for you and my grandchildren. Why are you here?" I asked carefully. "Because I read your book. A friend sent me an advance copy, and I realized I failed you. I failed my grandchildren. I chose my son over what was right." She set the book down on my table. "I'm not asking for forgiveness. I just wanted you to know that I see the truth now, and I'm ashamed of the part one played in your pain." "Where's Brandon?" I asked. "I don't know. He's been staying with different friends, drinking too much, not working. He's lost everything and he has no one to blame but himself." She paused. "Can I meet them? My grandchildren?" I thought about it for a long moment. This woman had defended Brandon when he didn't deserve it. She'd made excuses for the inexcusable. But she was also Caleb and Zoe's grandmother. And she was here, apologizing, trying to make things right. "Not today," I said. "But maybe someday. If you prove you're serious about being in their lives." She nodded, tears in her eyes. "Thank you. That's more than I deserve." After she left, Nicole squeezed my shoulder. "That took strength." "Everything I do takes strength now," I said. "But I'm getting stronger every day." The book debuted at number 3 on the bestseller list. By the second week, it was number 1. I was invited to speak at conferences, on podcasts, on news shows. My story was everywhere. And through it all, Caleb and Zoe were thriving. They were walking now, saying a few words, filling my house with laughter. They didn't know their father. They didn't ask about him. They had me, their grandmother, Nicole, and a whole community of women who loved them. They had everything they needed. One evening, after putting the twins to bed, I sat in my home office and looked at everything I'd built. The successful business, the best-selling book, the community of survivors supporting each other. Brandon had tried to break me. Sienna had laughed at my death. They'd both assumed I would crumble, that I would be too weak to survive without Brandon. They were wrong. I hadn't just survived. I thrived. And every success, every milestone, every moment of happiness was proof that their betrayal hadn't destroyed me. It had transformed me. The success of the book opened doors I'd never imagined. Within 3 months of its release, I was being invited to speak at events across the country. Women's conferences, divorce recovery workshops, empowerment seminars. Everyone wanted to hear about how I turned my darkest moment into my greatest triumph. "You're booked solid for the next 6 months, my new business manager, Crystal, told me. She was a sharp woman in her 40s who'd reached out after reading my book, offering to help me manage the growing business side of my platform. "We need to talk about pacing yourself. You still have 2 toddlers at home." "I know, but these speaking engagements are important. Women need to hear that they can survive this. And they will. But you need to survive too." Crystal pulled up a calendar on her laptop. "Let's limit travel to twice a month. The rest can be virtual appearances. You've built an incredible platform online. Use it." She was right. I'd been so focused on saying yes to everything that I hadn't stopped to think about what it was costing me. I was exhausted. The twins were asking for me more. My mother was helping, but she was getting tired too. "Okay," I agreed. "Twice a month for travel. Everything else virtual." "Good. Now let's talk about the podcast offers. You've got 5 production companies interested in producing a show with you as the host. A podcast. It's a natural extension of your brand. Surviving His Betrayal could be a weekly show where you interview other women, discuss divorce strategy, talk about healing. It would reach even more people than the book." I thought about it. A podcast would let me control my message while still building the community. And I could record from home, which meant more time with Caleb and Zoe. "Let's do it," I said. "But I want creative control. This is my story, my message. I'm not letting some producer water it down. Crystal smiled. I already told them that. 3 of the companies walked away. The other 2 are very interested in letting you run the show. We chose a production company run by women who'd been through their own divorces. They understood the mission. Within a month, we'd recorded the first season of Surviving His Betrayal, the podcast. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Women's lawyers recommended it to clients. Therapists used episodes in their sessions. Within 3 months, we were a top 10 podcast in the self-help category. You're building something bigger than yourself, Nicole said one evening. She came over once a week to have dinner and help with the twins. This isn't just about your story anymore. It's about giving women a voice when they feel voiceless. That's exactly what I want it to be, I said. Caleb was on my lap playing with blocks. Zoe was with my mother in the kitchen, helping make dinner. Brandon tried to silence me with shame and guilt. Now I'm using my voice to help other women break their silence. Have you heard from him lately? Not directly. But Patricia told me he's violated the custody agreement 3 times in the last 2 months. Missed visits, late child support, showed up drunk once. She's filing for his visitation rights to be completely revoked. How do you feel about that? I watched Caleb stack blocks, his little face scrunched in concentration. I feel relieved. He's not capable of being their father right now. Maybe he never will be. But I'm not going to force a relationship that hurts them more than it helps. And Sienna? Last I heard, she left him. Couldn't handle being with a broke man who everyone hates. She's been trying to rebrand herself online, but it's not working. The internet never forgets. That night, after the twins were asleep, I did something I'd been avoiding for months. I looked at Brandon's social media. His accounts were still private, but I had a friend request from a woman who'd sent me a message earlier. I thought you should see what he's posting, she'd written, along with screenshots. The photo showed a man I barely recognized. Brandon looked haggard, much thinner, with dark circles under his eyes. His posts were rambling, self-pitying rants about how the world had turned against him for one mistake. I'm a good person who made a bad choice, one post read. But no one wants to forgive me. They just want to destroy me. The people were sympathetic, telling him to stay strong, and that everyone deserves a second chance. Others were harsh, reminding him that abandoning your dying wife and newborns wasn't just one mistake. But the post that caught my attention was from 2 days ago. Sometimes I wonder if it's worth going on. Everything I built is gone. Everyone I love has left me. I'm sorry for everything, but sorry isn't enough anymore. My stomach dropped. Was he talking about suicide? I called Patricia immediately. I just saw Brandon's social media, I said. I think he might be in trouble. Like, serious trouble. What kind of trouble? I read her the post. Should I do something? Call someone? I know he's a terrible person, but I don't want him to hurt himself. Patricia was quiet for a moment. I'll make some calls. See if we can get a welfare check done. But Tasha, you can't save him. He's an adult who made his choices. If he's struggling, he needs professional help, not you. I know. But Caleb and Zoe might want to know their father someday. I don't want them growing up thinking their mother let him die. You're a better person than I would be in this situation, Patricia said. The police did a welfare check on Brandon. He was alive, just drunk and depressed. They recommended he get help. His mother tried to get him into rehab, but he refused. Meanwhile, my business continued to grow. I launched an online course called Divorce Recovery Blueprint that sold out in hours. I created a membership community where women could support each other through separation and single motherhood. I hired a team to help manage everything. By the time Caleb and Zoe turned 18 months old, I was making 6 figures a year from my business. I paid off all my debt, set up college funds for the twins, and bought my mother a new car. You did this, Nicole said, looking at my vision board. It was covered with goals I'd set a year ago, most of them already checked off. You took the worst thing that ever happened to you and turned it into the best thing. It doesn't feel like the worst thing anymore, I admitted. Sometimes I look at my life now and think about what it would be if Brandon had stayed. I'd probably still be in that apartment, working a job I hated, raising kids with a man who resented me. This life is so much better. Does that mean you've forgiven him? No, but I've accepted what happened. There's a difference. I picked up a photo of the twins from my desk. They saved me. Fighting for them gave me a reason to fight for myself. The podcast continued to grow. I interviewed divorce lawyers, therapists, financial advisors, and dozens of women with their own survival stories. Each episode felt like a piece of healing, not just for the listeners but for me too. One episode in particular went viral. I interviewed a woman named Rebecca who discovered her husband's affair when his mistress showed up at their daughter's birthday party. The mistress had been pregnant, claiming the baby was his. "What did you do?" I asked. "I smiled," Rebecca said. "I smiled and invited her to stay for cake. Then I took a photo of her with my husband and our daughter, posted it on social media with the caption, 'Family party with dad's new baby mama,' and filed for divorce the next day." "That's genius," I said, laughing. "It was petty," she admitted, "but it was also necessary. He'd been lying to me for 2 years. She'd been lying to herself, thinking he'd leave me for her. I wanted everyone to see the truth at the same time. And then what happened? His family disowned him. Her family disowned her. They lasted 3 months together before breaking up. Meanwhile, I got full custody of our daughter, a great divorce settlement, and my self-respect back." The episode got over 1 million downloads in the first week. Women criticized her for being too harsh, but most celebrated her honesty. "That's the reaction we want," Crystal said. "Controversial but authentic. It gets people talking." But not all the attention was positive. Brandon's lawyer sent another cease and desist letter, claiming the podcast was harassing his client by continuing to profit off his pain. Patricia's response was legendary. She sent back a letter that said simply, "Your client profited off my client's near-death experience by abandoning her for his mistress. Any pain he's experiencing is self-inflicted. Regarding the podcast, truth is an absolute defense. If he doesn't like being discussed, perhaps he should have behaved better." The lawyer didn't respond. Around this time, I started getting messages from women asking if I was dating anyone. They wanted to know if I'd found love again, if I believed in second chances for myself. "Are you?" Nicole asked one evening. "Dating, I mean? No, I'm too busy. And honestly, I'm not ready. It's been almost 2 years, Tasha." "I know, but I'm happy. The twins are happy. Why risk that for someone who might hurt us?" "Not everyone is Brandon," Nicole pointed out. "I know, but I'm not willing to find out yet." The truth was, I had been asked out. Several times. Men at conferences. Fathers at the twins' daycare. Even a few listeners who'd slid into my DMs despite the obvious boundary issues. But I wasn't interested. I was building something important, raising 2 beautiful children, healing from trauma. Dating felt like a distraction from the life I was creating. Then I met Jerome. It was at a speaking event in Chicago. I was the keynote speaker at a single-parent conference. After my talk, a man approached me during the book signing. "That was powerful," he said. "My daughter is 9. Her mother passed away 3 years ago. Listening to you talk about turning pain into purpose really resonated." "I'm sorry for your loss," I said automatically. "Thank you. It's been hard, but we're managing. Your book actually helped me process a lot of the anger I was feeling. Not at her, but at the situation. I'm glad it helped." He bought 3 copies of the book. One for himself, one for his mother, and one for his daughter when she was older. We talked for a few minutes about single parenting, about the challenges, about the unexpected joys. He didn't ask for my number. Didn't try to extend the conversation beyond what was appropriate. He just thanked me for my work and left. I thought about him more than I expected to over the next few weeks. There was something about his calm presence, his genuine interest in my message rather than me personally. He'd been respectful, kind, and honest about his situation. Then he showed up at another event 3 months later. This time in Atlanta. "Are you following me?" I joked when I saw him in the audience. "Actually, yes," he admitted with a smile. "But not in a creepy way. I'm a therapist who specializes in grief counseling. I've been recommending your book to clients. When I saw you were speaking at this conference, I figured I should actually hear you speak in person instead of just on the podcast." "You listen to the podcast?" "Every episode. It's required listening for my clients who are processing divorce or abandonment." We ended up getting coffee after my panel. He told me his name was Jerome, that he'd been a widower for 3 years, that his daughter was his whole world. "I'm not trying to date you," he clarified. "I just think you're doing important work and I'd like to collaborate if you're interested. I have clients who could benefit from your community." "That's not how most men approach me," I said honestly. "I'm not most men." He smiled. "And I've read your book. I know what you've been through. The last thing you need is another man complicating your life." I liked him immediately. Not romantically, but as a person. He was honest, direct, and respected boundaries. Over the next few months, we stayed in touch professionally. He referred clients to my community. I recommended his therapy practice to women who needed deeper healing than my platform could provide. It wasn't until 6 months after we met that our relationship shifted from professional to personal. And even then, it happened slowly, carefully, with both of us being very clear about what we wanted and didn't want. But that was still months away. For now, I was focused on my business, my children, and my own healing. Romance could wait. Success, however, couldn't. 2 years after that terrible night in the hospital, my life had transformed completely. The podcast had over 5 million downloads. My second book, Building Your Empire After Betrayal, debuted at #1. I'd been featured in major magazines, appeared on national television, and spoken at events in 15 states. But the real measure of my success wasn't the numbers. It was the messages I received every day from women whose lives I'd changed. "You gave me the courage to leave," one woman wrote. "I'm 6 months out from my divorce, and I'm finally starting to feel like myself again. Your podcast saved my life," another said. "I was planning to end everything. Then I heard your story and realized I could survive this. Because of your online course, I negotiated a better divorce settlement and kept my lawyer said it was the most prepared she'd ever seen a client." These messages kept me going on the hard days. Because despite all the success, there were still hard days. Days when the twins were sick and I had to cancel appearances. Days when I felt overwhelmed by the pressure to always be strong, always be inspiring. Days when I missed the simplicity of not being a public figure. "You're allowed to have bad days," my therapist reminded me. I'd started seeing Dr. Williams 6 months ago, recognizing that I needed professional support to process everything. "You don't have to be a superhero all the time." "But that's what everyone expects," I said. "They see this successful woman who turned tragedy into triumph. They don't want to hear that sometimes I'm tired or sad or angry." Then show them that too. Show them that healing isn't linear. That success doesn't erase pain. That you can be both strong and struggling. So I did. I started being more honest about the hard days on social media. About the nights when I cried after putting the twins to bed. About the moments when I felt like I wasn't enough. About the therapy, the medication for anxiety, the work it took to maintain my mental health. The response was overwhelmingly positive. Women thanked me for being real, for showing them that they didn't have to be perfect to be powerful. "This is what was missing," Crystal said, reviewing the engagement numbers. "You were inspiring but distant. Now you're inspiring and relatable. That's a powerful combination." The business grew even more. I launched a line of journals for divorce recovery. Created a workbook to accompany my online course. Started a monthly subscription box called Thriving Box, with self-care items and resources for women in transition. Everything I touched seemed to turn to gold. But I was careful not to let success go to my head. I remembered where I'd started, broken, abandoned, fighting for my life in a hospital bed. That memory kept me humble and focused. Meanwhile, Brandon continued his downward spiral. He'd lost 3 jobs in 2 years. Been evicted from 2 apartments. His mother finally got him into rehab, but he left after 2 weeks. "He's calling again," Patricia told me, asking if you'd consider reducing his child support. "He claims he can't afford the payments." "What did you tell him?" "That he should have thought about that before abandoning his children. His support payments are based on the income he had when we finalized the divorce. If he can't maintain that income level, that's his problem." "Is he seeing the twins at all?" "He hasn't shown up for a supervised visit in 4 months. The court is considering terminating his parental rights for abandonment." Part of me felt sad about this. Not for Brandon, but for Caleb and Zoe. They were 2 years old now, bright and curious and full of personality. Caleb loved trucks and dinosaurs. Zoe loved dolls and music. They were amazing kids, and Brandon was missing all of it. But another part of me was relieved. Every month that passed without Brandon in our lives was another month of peace, of stability, of building a life without his chaos. "Let me know if the court moves forward with termination," I told Patricia. "I won't fight it." The holidays came. This was my second Christmas as a single mother, but the first one where I felt truly joyful about it. Last year, I'd still been angry, still processing the betrayal. This year, I was genuinely happy. I hosted Christmas dinner at my house. My mother, Nicole, Crystal, and a few other close friends came. The twins opened presents with pure delight, not understanding or caring that their father wasn't there. "Look at everything you've built," my mother said, pulling me aside while the twins played with their new toys. "A beautiful home, a successful business, 2 healthy babies." You did this all by yourself. I had help, I said, gesturing to the room full of people who'd supported me. Yes, but you did the work. You chose to survive. You chose to build instead of break. I'm so proud of you, baby girl. I hugged her, feeling grateful for her unwavering support. She'd been my rock through everything: the hospital, the divorce, the late nights with the twins. I wouldn't have made it without her. Early in the new year, I received an unexpected message. It was from a television producer who'd seen my story and wanted to create a docuseries about my journey. We're calling it Surviving Betrayal, a modern love story, she explained over the phone. We'd follow you for 6 months, showing your day-to-day life, your business, your parenting. We'd also interview some of the women from your community, show the real impact of your work. I don't know, I said hesitantly. The twins are so young. I'm not sure I want cameras in our home. We'd be very respectful of their privacy. We wouldn't show their faces without your permission. And this could reach even more women who need your message. I talked it over with my team, my mother, my therapist. Everyone had different opinions. Crystal thought it was a great business opportunity. My mother worried about privacy. Dr. Williams cautioned me to think about how it might affect my mental health. In the end, I said yes, but with strict boundaries. No filming of the twins' faces. No cameras during bath time or bedtime. Nothing that felt too invasive. The production company agreed to all my terms. Filming started in March. It was surreal having cameras follow me to speaking events, to podcast recordings, to business meetings. But the crew was professional and respectful. They made me feel comfortable sharing my story. The most powerful part of filming was interviewing the women from my community. Women who'd left abusive marriages because of my story. Women who'd fought for custody and won. Women who'd rebuilt their lives after betrayal. You showed me it was possible, one woman said on camera. I was married for 20 years. I thought leaving meant failure. But you taught me that staying in something that hurts you is the real failure. The docuseries was scheduled to air in the fall. The production company was already talking about it being their biggest release of the year. But the most significant development wasn't professional. It was personal. Jerome and I had been talking more frequently. What started as professional collaboration had evolved into genuine friendship. We texted about our kids, about the challenges of single parenting, about life. He never pushed for more. Never crossed boundaries. But I found myself looking forward to his messages, to our occasional phone calls. You like him, Nicole said one evening after catching me smiling at my phone. He's a friend. Friends don't make you smile like that. I'm not ready for a relationship, Nicole. I didn't say you were. But you're ready to consider the possibility. And that's progress. Maybe she was right. For the first time since Brandon's betrayal, I could imagine letting someone into my life. Not. Jerome came to Atlanta for a therapy conference in April. We met for dinner, our first time seeing each other in months. You look different, he said. Lighter somehow. I feel lighter. I think I'm finally healed from what Brandon did. Not completely. Maybe you never heal completely from something like that. But enough that it doesn't define me anymore. That's beautiful, Jerome said. Healing is a journey, not a destination. Is that therapist speak? Maybe. He smiled. But it's also true. We talked for 3 hours. About his daughter, who was doing better but still struggled with losing her mother. About my twins, who were growing so fast I could barely keep up. About his therapy practice and my business. Can I ask you something? Jerome said as dinner wound down. Sure. Are you open to dating? I'm not asking for me necessarily. I'm just curious if you've reached that point yet. I thought about it. Honestly, I don't know. Part of me wants to be open to it, but another part of me is terrified of being betrayed again. That's normal. Trust is hard to rebuild after it's been shattered. Were you scared? After your wife died, when you started thinking about dating again? Terrified, he admitted. I wasn't afraid of being hurt. She died, she didn't betray me. But I was afraid of dishonoring her memory. Of my daughter feeling replaced. Of opening our lives to someone who might not be worthy of the space my wife left behind. Have you dated since? A few times. Nothing serious. It's hard to find someone who understands that my daughter comes first, that I'm a package deal, that I'm still healing even 3 years later. It's the same for me. The twins come first. Always. And I'm not interested in anyone who can't understand that. Jerome looked at me for a long moment. What if I asked you to dinner again? Not as colleagues. Not as friends. As something more? My heart started racing. Jerome. You don't have to answer now, he said quickly. I know it's complicated. I know you're not sure you're ready, but I wanted you to know that I'm interested. When and if you're ready, I'd like to explore this." I didn't answer that night, but I thought about his question constantly over the next few weeks. Was I ready? Did I want this? Could I trust someone again? The answer came when I was watching the twins play in our backyard. Caleb was pushing Zoe on the swing, both of them laughing. They were so happy, so secure in the life we'd built. I'd spent 2 years building walls to protect us. Maybe it was time to carefully consider opening a window. I texted Jerome, "I'm not ready for a relationship, but I'm willing to consider the possibility. Can we take things very slow?" His response came immediately, "As slow as you need. I'm not going anywhere." That night, I updated my vision board. Along with business goals and parenting milestones, I added something I hadn't included in 2 years. Open my heart to the possibility of love, the right way with the right person at the right time. Brandon had tried to destroy my ability to trust, but I was stronger than his betrayal. I was capable of healing. And someday when the time was right, I would love again. But not yet. For now, I had an empire to build. The docuseries, Surviving Betrayal, a modern love story, premiered in September to massive acclaim. Over 2 million people watched the first episode in the first week. The reviews were overwhelmingly positive, with critics calling it a powerful testament to the strength of single mothers and a must-watch for anyone navigating life after betrayal. But the public reaction was what surprised me most. My social media following exploded overnight. I went from 1 million followers to 3 million in a matter of days. My book sales tripled. Speaking requests poured in from around the world. "You're a cultural phenomenon," Crystal said, showing me the analytics. "Women are using your story as a blueprint for leaving bad relationships. Divorce lawyers are screening the docuseries for clients. This is bigger than we ever imagined." The success was overwhelming, but it also felt validating. Every woman who watched and found courage to leave. Every child who grew up seeing their mother choose herself. Every person who realized that betrayal didn't have to be the end of their story, that was what made it worthwhile. The docuseries showed everything. My daily life with the twins. The behind the scenes of building my business. The women I'd helped through my community. And yes, it showed the security footage of Sienna laughing at my death. That part of the episode went viral. People were outraged, disgusted, shocked by the cruelty. Sienna's name started trending on Twitter. Her old social media posts were dug up and analyzed. Her current attempts to rebrand herself were exposed. "She's being destroyed online," Nicole told me. "People are showing up at her workplace to confront her. She had to delete all her social media accounts." "Good," I said without hesitation. She laughed at my death. Let her experience a fraction of what she put me through. But karma wasn't done with Sienna yet. 2 weeks after the docuseries premiered, I received a message through my website. It was from a woman named Tracy. "I need to tell you something about Sienna Martinez," the message read. "I was her roommate before she met Brandon. She planned the whole thing. She knew he was married. She saw your pregnancy announcement on his Facebook and decided to pursue him specifically because he was going to be tied down soon, and she wanted to save him. She's done this before. I have text messages where she talks about targeting married men. I think you deserve to know." I forwarded the message to Patricia immediately. "This is huge," Patricia said. "If we can prove she deliberately pursued him with the intent to break up your marriage, it adds another layer to the emotional distress case I've been building." What emotional distress case? I've been quietly building a case against both of them for the last 6 months. Alienation of affection, emotional abuse, abandonment. With this evidence, we could sue them both for damages. I don't need money from them. I'm doing fine financially. This isn't about money, Tasha. It's about accountability. They both need to face consequences for what they did. Tracy provided the text messages. They were damning. Sienna had literally written out her plan to seduce the hot married guy at work who's about to have twins, because once those babies come, he'll be desperate for someone who makes him feel young and free again. She'd manipulated Brandon from the start, playing on his fears about fatherhood, his anxieties about responsibility, his ego. And he'd been weak enough to fall for it. The messages also revealed something else. Sienna had been married before. To a man she'd left when he was diagnosed with cancer because I didn't sign up to be a caretaker. "She's a pattern predator," Patricia said after reviewing everything. "She targets vulnerable men, particularly those facing major life changes. Brandon was vulnerable because of the impending twins. Her ex-husband was vulnerable because of his diagnosis. This isn't random. It's calculated. We released Tracy's evidence to the media. The reaction was swift and brutal. Sienna's life imploded completely. Her employer fired her. Her family disowned her publicly on social media. She had to move back to another state to escape the attention. But I felt no satisfaction watching her fall. I felt empty. Because while she was facing consequences, it didn't change what she'd done. It didn't give me back the time I'd lost to pain and recovery. It didn't give Caleb and Zoe a father who was present. Revenge, I realized, wasn't as sweet as people claimed. Justice was satisfying. But revenge left you feeling hollow. Brandon's life wasn't much better. Without Sienna, without a job, without any support system, he'd hit rock bottom. His mother called me one evening, something she'd never done before. "He's in the hospital," she said, her voice strained. "He tried to hurt himself. The doctors say he'll be okay physically, but mentally? I don't know, Tasha. I don't know how to help him anymore." "I'm sorry," I said, and I meant it. Not sorry that he was facing consequences, but sorry that he destroyed his life so completely. He wants to see the twins. He says seeing them might give him something to live for. No. Tasha, please. I know what he did was unforgivable. But he's their father. And he's getting help now. He's in therapy, he's on medication, he's trying to get better. He should have thought about that before he abandoned us. I'm sorry he's struggling, but I have to protect my children. And right now, exposing them to someone that unstable isn't in their best interest. She started to argue, then stopped. You're right. I needed to ask. For his sake. After we hung up, I sat in the dark living room thinking about everything. Brandon had tried to destroy me, and in doing so, he destroyed himself. Sienna had laughed at my death, and now her life was in ruins. Neither of them had won. But had I? I looked at the photos on my wall. Caleb and Zoe at their second birthday party, covered in chocolate cake. Me speaking at a conference with 1,000 women in the audience. My best-selling books. The vision board filled with accomplished goals. Yes, I had won. Not because they'd lost, but because I'd built something beautiful from the rubble of what they destroyed. My phone buzzed. It was Jerome. Saw the news about Sienna. You okay? I'm good, I texted back. Justice feels better than revenge ever could. Proud of you. Want to talk? Actually, yes. We talked for an hour. About karma, about healing, about moving forward. Jerome had a way of putting things in perspective without being preachy or dismissive. You know what the best revenge is? He said. Living well. Being happy. Showing your kids that you don't need someone who hurt you to be complete. That's the revenge that lasts. He was right. Every moment of happiness I experienced was proof that Brandon and Sienna hadn't broken me. Every success was evidence that their betrayal had been the catalyst for my transformation, not my destruction. The next morning, I woke up to a message from Brandon. He must have gotten a new phone because I'd blocked his old number months ago. I saw the docuseries, he wrote. I saw everything. The footage of Sienna laughing. The interviews with the nurses. Your side of the story. I know you'll probably delete this without reading it, but I need to say it anyway. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I was a coward. I was weak. I let fear control me and I destroyed the best thing I ever had. You deserved better. The twins deserved better. I don't expect forgiveness. I just wanted you to know that I see it now. I see what I did and I'll regret it for the rest of my life. I read the message 3 times. Then I showed it to Nicole, who'd stopped by with breakfast. Are you going to respond? She asked. No. What would I say? He's right, he was a coward. He did destroy the best thing he had. But that's for him to live with, not for me to absolve. Do you forgive him? I don't think about him enough to forgive or not forgive. He's irrelevant to my life now. That's better than forgiveness. That's indifference. Nicole hugged me. Look at you. 2 years ago, you would have agonized over that message for days. Now you can just shrug and move on. That's growth. She was right. Brandon's message didn't devastate me or anger me or even make me sad. It was just words from someone who no longer mattered. Later that week, the court hearing for terminating Brandon's parental rights was scheduled. Patricia had been working on this for months, building a case around his abandonment, his missed visits, his failure to pay support, his instability. You don't have to attend, Patricia told me. I can handle this without you. No, I want to be there. I want to see it through. The courthouse was in downtown. I wore a navy suit, professional but not harsh. I'd learned over the past 2 years that presentation mattered in court. Brandon was there with his mother. He looked terrible, thinner, paler, broken. When he saw me, he looked away immediately, unable to meet my eyes. The judge reviewed the case. Patricia presented our evidence. Documented abandonment, missed visitation, security footage showing Brandon leaving the hospital during my emergency surgery, his arrest for public intoxication, his hospitalization for a mental health crisis. Brandon's lawyer tried to argue that he'd been going through a difficult time, that he was getting help now, that he wanted to be in his children's lives. Where was this desire to be involved for the past 2 years? The judge asked. According to these records, Mr. Coleman has seen his children exactly 3 times since they were born. He's missed 18 scheduled visits. His child support payments have been irregular at best. Your Honor, my client was suffering from depression and anxiety. Many parents suffer from mental health issues without abandoning their children, the judge interrupted. I'm sympathetic to his struggles, but this court's priority is the best interest of the children, not the comfort of the parent. In the end, the judge ruled in my favor. Brandon's parental rights were terminated. He had no legal claim to Caleb and Zoe anymore. No visitation rights. No custody considerations. He was legally no longer their father. Brandon broke down crying in the courtroom. His mother had to help him walk out. Part of me felt sorry for him. But a bigger part of me felt relief. My children were safe. Legally, emotionally, completely mine. No more court dates. No more supervised visits that he'd probably skip anyway. No more uncertainty about his role in their lives. It's over, Patricia said as we left the courthouse. You're free. That night, I celebrated quietly at home. My mother watched the twins while I took a long bath, drank a glass of wine, and reflected on the journey. 2 years ago, I'd been dying in a hospital bed while my husband abandoned me. Now I was thriving, raising 2 beautiful children, running a successful business, and helping thousands of women find their own strength. Brandon and Sienna had tried to destroy me. Instead, they'd forged me into something stronger than they could have ever imagined. Karma hadn't destroyed them. They'd destroyed themselves. And I'd simply refused to be destroyed with them. 3 months after the court terminated Brandon's parental rights, I took the twins to the beach for their 3rd birthday. It was the first vacation we'd taken that was just about joy, not recovery or escape or proving something. Just 3 days of sand, sun, and laughter. Look, Mommy, Caleb shouted, holding up a shell. It's a treasure. Beautiful treasure, I said, taking a photo of his proud face. Zoe was more cautious, letting the waves touch her toes before running back squealing with delight. She reminded me of myself, careful, thoughtful, brave only after testing the waters first. My mother and Nicole had come with us. We'd rented a beach house big enough for everyone. That evening, after the twins fell asleep exhausted from playing all day, the 3 of us sat on the deck watching the sunset. I'm proud of you, my mother said, not for the first time. You've built something incredible out of nothing. Not nothing. I had you too. That was something. You know what I mean. Most women wouldn't have survived what you went through. You not only survived, you thrived. Can I ask you something? I said, turning to Nicole. Did you ever think I'd end up here? Running a business, raising twins alone, actually happy? Honestly? No. Nicole smiled at my surprised expression. I thought you'd survive. I knew you were strong enough for that. But I didn't think you'd transform the experience into something this powerful. That part surprised me. It surprised me too, I admitted. When Brandon left, I thought my life was over. I thought I'd spend forever angry and broken. What changed? My mother asked. The twins. Every time I looked at them, I saw the future. I had to choose. Stay broken and let them grow up with a broken mother, or heal and show them what strength looks like. So I chose to heal. The next morning, my phone rang early. It was Jerome. We'd been talking more frequently over the past few months, our friendship slowly evolving into something deeper. But we were both being careful, taking things slow. Happy birthday to the twins, he said. I sent a package to your house. Should arrive when you get back. You didn't have to do that. I wanted to. They're important to you, which makes them important to me. My heart did something unfamiliar. It fluttered. Thank you. Are you having a good time at the beach? The best time. It feels good to just exist without constantly fighting or building or proving something. That's progress. You've earned the right to just be happy. After we hung up, Nicole gave me a knowing look. He's good for you. We're just friends. Friends don't make you smile like that. Friends don't send birthday gifts to your kids. Friends don't call you every day just to check in. Okay, we're more than friends. But we're taking it slow. As you should. But Tasha? Don't let Brandon's betrayal make you afraid of good men. Jerome isn't Brandon. She was right. Over the past few months, Jerome had proven himself different in every way. He was patient, respectful. He never pushed for more than I was ready to give. He understood that my children came first. He had his own life, his own career, his own child to focus on. We weren't dependent on each other. When we got back from the beach, the package from Jerome was waiting. Inside were 2 beautiful children's books about families of all kinds, along with a note. For Caleb and Zoe. May they always know that family is defined by love, not biology. I cried reading that note. Because he understood. He understood that the twins didn't need Brandon. They had me, their grandmother, Nicole, and a whole community of people who loved them. That weekend, Jerome flew to Atlanta. It was the first time he'd visited my home, the first time he'd meet the twins. I was nervous. The twins were my world. If they didn't like him or if he wasn't good with them, it would be over before it began. But I shouldn't have worried. Jerome showed up with a toy truck for Caleb and a doll for Zoe, both chosen thoughtfully based on what I'd told him about their interests. He sat on the floor and played with them for an hour, completely focused on making them comfortable. He's a natural, my mother whispered, watching from the kitchen. Later, after the twins were in bed, Jerome and I talked on the back porch. They're wonderful, he said. Smart, happy, well-adjusted. You've done an amazing job with them. Thank you. They're everything to me. I know. I can see it. He hesitated. Can I be honest about something? Always. I'm falling for you, Tasha. I've been trying not to. I've been telling myself we should stay friends, that you need more time, that it's complicated. But I can't help it. You're remarkable. And I want to be part of your life. If you'll have me. My breath caught. Jerome. You don't have to say yes right now. I know you're still healing. I know trust is hard for you. But I wanted you to know how I feel. Because I'm not Brandon. I won't abandon you when things get hard. I won't make promises I can't keep. I'm here and I'm not going anywhere unless you ask me to. I looked at this man who'd been so patient, so kind, so understanding. Then I looked through the window at my sleeping children. They deserved to see healthy love. They deserved to know that not all men were like their biological father. I'm scared, I admitted. Brandon destroyed my ability to trust. What if I let you in and you hurt me? I can't promise I'll never hurt you. People in relationships hurt each other sometimes. But I can promise I'll never betray you. I'll never abandon you. And I'll always be honest with you. What about the kids? What if we try this and it doesn't work out? They're already attached to you. We'll be thoughtful about it. We won't rush into living together or anything permanent until we're both sure. And if it doesn't work out, we'll end it like adults and figure out how to maintain a friendship for the kids' sake. He made it sound so simple, so rational, so different from the chaos that had been my relationship with Brandon. Okay, I said finally. Let's try. But slow. Very slow. Jerome smiled and took my hand. As slow as you need. That night, after Jerome left for his hotel, I updated my journal. I'd been keeping a journal since the hospital, documenting my healing journey. Tonight's entry was different from all the others. I'm ready, I wrote. Not ready to forget what happened or pretend I'm not scarred by it, but ready to move forward. Ready to let someone good into my life. Ready to show my children that love can be healthy, that relationships can be partnerships, that not everyone will hurt you. Over the next few months, Jerome and I built our relationship carefully. We had regular date nights, but only when he was in town for work. We talked every day but maintained our separate lives. He met my mother and Nicole officially, and they both approved. He's different, Nicole said after dinner one night. You can see it in how he looks at you. He sees you as an equal, not someone to fix or save. He sees me as a person, I said. Brandon saw me as an accessory to his life. Jerome sees me as having my own life that he's lucky to be part of. The business continued to grow too. My third book came out, this one focused on rebuilding finances after divorce. It became another bestseller. The podcast hit 10 million downloads. I launched a conference series called Thriving After Betrayal that sold out in 6 cities. You're a brand now, Crystal told me. We need to think about where this goes next. Books, podcasts, conferences, online courses. What's the next level? I want to start a nonprofit, I said. Something that provides resources to women leaving abusive or difficult marriages. Legal aid, therapy, financial planning, job placement. Everything they need to actually rebuild. That's brilliant. And completely on brand. We spent the next 6 months building the nonprofit from the ground up. I called it Phoenix Rising because that's what I was, what all of us were. Women who'd burned in the fires of betrayal and risen from the ashes stronger. The nonprofit officially launched on the 3-year anniversary of that night in the hospital. The night I died and come back. The night that had changed everything. 3 years ago, I was lying on a hospital bed, dying, abandoned by the man I trusted most, I said in my launch speech. Today I'm standing here, alive, thriving, helping other women do the same. That's the power of survival. That's the power of choosing yourself. The speech went viral. The nonprofit was flooded with donations and volunteer applications. Within a month, we'd helped 50 women leave dangerous situations and start new lives. You're changing the world, Jerome said one evening. We were at my house, the twins playing in the living room while we cooked dinner together. I'm just trying to make sure no woman feels as alone as I did in that hospital. You're doing more than that. You're showing women they have value beyond their relationships. That they can survive what feels insurvivable. Is that therapist speak? Maybe. He smiled. But it's also true. By the time Caleb and Zoe turned 4, my life looked nothing like it had on that terrible night in the hospital. I had a thriving business empire, a nonprofit helping hundreds of women, a book series that had sold millions of copies, and a man who loved me the way I deserved to be loved. Do you ever think about Brandon? Jerome asked one night. Sometimes, but not with anger anymore. More like curiosity. I wonder if he ever got the help he needed. If he ever found peace with what he did. Do you want to know? No, not really. He made his choices. I made mine. We're both living with the consequences. Your consequence is this beautiful life. His is knowing he walked away from it. Jerome was right. The best revenge wasn't destroying Brandon. It was building a life so full, so joyful, so successful that his betrayal became irrelevant. One evening, while reading the twins their bedtime story, Caleb asked a question that stopped my heart. Mommy, why don't we have a daddy? I looked at Jerome, who'd been staying over more frequently. He gave me an encouraging nod. You do have a daddy, I said carefully. But he lives far away and he's not able to be part of our family right now. Why? Because sometimes grown-ups make choices that hurt people. And when that happens, the people who got hurt have to protect themselves. That's what Mommy did. I protected us. Will he come back? Zoe asked. I don't think so, baby. But that's okay. Because we have each other and Grandma and Auntie Nicole and Jerome and so many people who love us. Jerome's not our daddy, Caleb said. No, he's not. But he's someone who cares about us. And maybe someday if you want, he could be more like a dad to you. But only if you want that. I want that, Zoe said immediately. Caleb thought about it for a moment. Okay, me too. Jerome's eyes filled with tears. Later, after the twins were asleep, he pulled me close. I meant what I said 3 years ago, he whispered. I'm not going anywhere. I want to build a life with you. Marry you. Help you raise these incredible kids. If you'll have me. I looked at this man who'd been patient, kind, and steady. Who'd proven his love through actions, not just words. Who'd shown my children what healthy love looked like. Ask me again in 6 months, I said. Not because I don't know the answer, but because I want us to be absolutely sure. For them. I can wait 6 months. I'd wait forever if that's what you needed. But I didn't make him wait that long. Because 3 months later, on a random Tuesday while making breakfast, I looked at him helping Caleb tie his shoes and Zoe find her favorite toy, and I knew he was the one. Not because he completed me, I was already complete. But because he enhanced my life without trying to control it. Because he loved my children like they were his own. Because every day with him felt like choosing myself again and again. Ask me now, I said. What? Ask me what you wanted to ask me 6 months from now. Ask me now. Jerome smiled, understanding immediately. He got down on one knee right there in the kitchen in his pajamas while the twins watched with wide eyes. Tasha Coleman, will you marry me? Yes, I said without hesitation. 1,000 times yes. Caleb and Zoe cheered. And for the first time in 4 years, I felt something I hadn't allowed myself to feel since that night in the hospital. I felt complete joy. The engagement was everything I'd never had with Brandon. Thoughtful, equal, built on respect and genuine love. Jerome didn't rush me to set a date. We told people slowly, let the news settle naturally. The twins called him Jerome Dad, which made him cry the first time he heard it. My business continued to thrive. The nonprofit was serving women in 12 states. My podcast had become one of the top-rated shows in the country. I'd been featured on national television multiple times, always using my platform to help others. Then came the email that changed everything. I'm producing a special segment about betrayal and redemption, a producer from a major network wrote. We'd like to interview you, obviously. but regret looks like. Would you be willing to be in the same room as him with cameras for this conversation? My first instinct was to say absolutely not. Crystal saw it differently. This could be powerful, she said. You confronting him publicly, showing women what it looks like to face their betrayer with strength. It could be your most impactful moment yet. Or it could be traumatizing, Nicole countered. You don't owe him a platform to explain himself. I talked to Jerome about it that night. What do you want to do? He asked. Not what would be good for business or the platform. What does Tasha want? I thought about it for a long time. I want closure. Not for him. For me. I want to look him in the eye and tell him exactly what he took from me and what he failed to take. I want him to see that I not only survived, I conquered. Then do it. I'll be right there with you. The interview was scheduled for a Saturday in November. 4 years and 2 weeks after that night in the hospital. The twins would be with my mother. Jerome would be in the green room ready if I needed him. Patricia would be on standby in case Brandon said anything that crossed legal lines. I dressed in a red power suit. Bold, strong, unapologetic. I was Tasha Coleman, best-selling author, successful entrepreneur, nonprofit founder, engaged to a good man, mother to 2 beautiful children. I was everything Brandon had tried to destroy. The studio was cold. Brandon was already there when I arrived, sitting in his chair looking nervous. He'd gained back some weight. His hair was cut neatly. He looked more like the man I'd married and less like the broken person I'd seen in court. Tasha, he said when he saw me, thank you for agreeing to this. I didn't do it for you. We took our seats. The producer explained the format. She'd ask questions, we'd respond honestly, no topic was off limits. The goal was truth, not comfort. Are you ready? The producer asked. Yes, I said firmly. Brandon, are you ready? He nodded, but I could see his hands shaking. The camera started rolling. Tasha, let's start with you, the producer said. It's been 4 years since Brandon abandoned you during labor. In that time, you built an empire. What would you say to women watching who are in the position you were in 4 years ago? I tell them that betrayal feels like the end, but it's actually a beginning. The man I thought I'd spend my life with left me when I needed him most. But in doing so, he freed me to become who I was always meant to be. I'm not grateful for what he did, but I'm grateful for who I became because of it. Brandon, how does it feel hearing that? He swallowed hard. It's exactly what I deserve to hear. I destroyed the best thing in my life because I was weak and selfish. There's no excuse for what I did. Let's go back to that night, the producer said. Tasha, what do you remember? I remember dying. I remember seeing my husband's mistress through the window, and she was smiling. I remember thinking that I was leaving my babies alone with him, and that they'd be better off without me than with him. Brandon, you were there. What do you remember? I remember being terrified. I remember Sienna telling me it would be easier if Tasha didn't make it, that we could start fresh. I remember sitting there like a coward while my wife died. The studio went silent. Even the crew seemed shocked by his admission. Did you want her to die? The producer asked. No. His voice broke. But I didn't fight hard enough for her to live either. I let Sienna's manipulation convince me that my life would be easier without Tasha. I thought about the babies, about the responsibility, about everything changing, and I panicked. So I sat there and did nothing while the mother of my children fought for her life. Tasha, how does it feel to hear him say that? It's what I already knew. But hearing him admit it is clarifying. He chose convenience over love, comfort over commitment. And that's a choice he has to live with. Do you hate him? No. I don't feel anything for him anymore. He's irrelevant to my life. The only reason I'm here is to show other women what the other side of betrayal looks like. Brandon, you lost everything after that night. Your career, your relationship with Sienna, your children. How did that feel? Like justice? Like exactly what I deserved. I spent 2 years angry at everyone else. At Tasha for pressing charges, at Sienna for showing her true colors, at my family for abandoning me. But eventually, I had to face the truth. I destroyed my own life. Have you gotten help? Yes. I've been in therapy for 2 years. I'm on medication for depression and anxiety. I attend support groups for men dealing with the consequences of their actions. I've worked hard to understand why I made those choices and to become someone who would never make them again. Tasha, does his transformation matter to you? Not at all. His journey to redemption is his own. It has nothing to do with me or my children. We've moved on without him. Would you ever let him back into your children's lives? No. He had every opportunity to be their father, and he chose not to. Now they have someone who actually wants to be there for them. Someone who shows up. Someone who loves them unconditionally. You're engaged, the producer said. How did you learn to trust again? By understanding that trust isn't something you give blindly. It's something someone earns through consistent action over time. My fiancé earned my trust by being patient, honest, and present. Brandon destroyed his by being none of those things. The producer turned to Brandon. How does it feel knowing your children are calling another man dad? He broke down completely. It's the worst pain I've ever felt, but I have no one to blame but myself. I walked away from them. I chose not to be their father. Jerome didn't steal them from me. I threw them away. If you could go back, what would you change? Everything. I would stay in that hospital room. I would hold Tasha's hand and be there for the birth of my children. I would tell Sienna to leave and never come back. I would be the man my family deserved. But you can't go back, I said, speaking directly to him for the first time. Time doesn't work that way. You made your choice and now we're all living with the consequences. The difference is I'm living well. I know. And I'm glad. You deserve everything you've built. I didn't build it because I deserved it. I built it because I refused to let your betrayal define me. Every success, every milestone, every moment of happiness is proof that I'm stronger than what you did to me. What would you want viewers to take away from your story? The producer asked me. That betrayal is not a life sentence. That you can die in a hospital bed and still come back to life. That single motherhood is not a consolation prize. It's an opportunity to show your children what strength looks like. And most importantly, that the best revenge is living so well that your betrayer becomes a footnote in your story instead of the main character. And Brandon, what do you want viewers to know? That actions have consequences. That you can't abandon your family and expect them to wait for you to figure your life out. That real love requires sacrifice and work, not just romance and feelings. And that by the time you realize what you lost, it might be too late to get it back. The interview wrapped up. Brandon stood awkwardly, clearly wanting to say something more to me. But I didn't give him the chance. Goodbye, Brandon, I said simply. I hope you find peace with your choices. But I won't be part of that journey. I walked out of the studio without looking back. Jerome was waiting for me in the hallway. He pulled me into his arms, and I finally let myself feel everything I'd been holding in during the interview. You were incredible, he whispered. So strong, so clear, so powerful. I needed to do that. To face him one last time and show him that he didn't destroy me. He didn't even come close. The interview aired 2 weeks later. It was watched by over 15 million people. The response was overwhelming. Women praised my strength. Divorce lawyers used it as an example of holding abusers accountable. Therapists discussed it in sessions about healing from betrayal. But the most surprising response came from men. Thousands of them reached out to say that Brandon's story had made them think about their own choices, their own relationships, their own moments of weakness. Some admitted they'd been on a path similar to Brandon's and the interview had shocked them into changing course. You saved my marriage, one man wrote. I was having an affair. I was planning to leave my pregnant wife. Then I saw your interview and realized I was about to make the worst mistake of my life. I ended the affair, confessed to my wife, and we're working through it in therapy. Thank you for showing me the consequences before I lived them. That message made the whole painful experience worthwhile. Because if my story could prevent even one woman from experiencing what I'd been through, it was worth reliving the trauma. Brandon's life after the interview was unclear. I heard through mutual acquaintances that he'd moved to a different state, was working as a manager at a retail store, was still in therapy. But I didn't follow up. I didn't check his social media. I didn't think about him unless someone brought him up. He truly had become irrelevant. Meanwhile, Jerome and I were planning our wedding. Nothing big or elaborate, just close family and friends, a simple ceremony on the beach where we'd first talked about moving forward together. I want Caleb and Zoe to be part of it, Jerome said. Not as ring bearers or flower girls, but as part of the vows. We're not just marrying each other. We're becoming a family. I love that, I said, tears in my eyes. They need to know this is about all of us, not just you and me. The wedding was scheduled for May, a few weeks after the twins' 5th birthday. 5 years after that night in the hospital. 5 years of fighting, healing, building, and finally, being happy. Do you ever wish it hadn't happened? Nicole asked one evening while we were addressing wedding invitations. The betrayal, I mean. Do you wish you could go back and have the life you thought you were building with Brandon? Not even a little bit, I said honestly. That life was a lie. This life is real. I'll take real over comfortable any day. Brandon's going to see the wedding announcement, the photos. You and Jerome and the twins looking like the perfect family. Good. Let him see what he could have had if he'd been brave enough to stay. The morning of my wedding, I woke up in the beach house we'd rented for the week. Sunlight streamed through the windows. I could hear Caleb and Zoe arguing in the next room about who got to wear the flower crown first. My mother was making coffee in the kitchen. Nicole was already dressed, coordinating last-minute details. I looked at my reflection in the mirror. 5 years ago, I'd looked at myself in a hospital mirror and barely recognized the broken woman staring back. Today I saw someone completely different. Someone strong. Someone happy. Someone who'd taken the worst thing that ever happened and turned it into rocket fuel for transformation. You ready for this? Nicole asked, bringing me a cup of coffee. More ready than I've ever been for anything. The ceremony was at sunset. Just 30 people, our closest friends and family. Jerome's daughter was there, excited to officially become Caleb and Zoe's big sister. My mother cried through the entire thing. Patricia attended with her wife, beaming with pride. But the most meaningful part was the family vows. Jerome knelt down in front of Caleb and Zoe. I promise to be here for you, he said, his voice steady despite the tears in his eyes. Not because I'm replacing anyone, but because I choose to be your dad in every way that matters. I'll show up to your school plays. I'll teach you to ride bikes. I'll be there when you're sick or sad or scared. I'll love you like you're my own because that's what you are. We love you too, Jerome Dad, Zoe said, hugging him. Yeah, Caleb added. You're our real dad. The other guy doesn't count. Everyone laughed through their tears. Then it was my turn to say my vows to Jerome. 5 years ago, I didn't think I'd ever trust anyone again, I said, holding his hands. I thought Brandon's betrayal had broken my ability to love. But you showed me that wasn't true. You showed me that love isn't about never falling down. It's about choosing someone who helps you stand back up. You've been patient with my healing. You've loved my children like they're your own. You've shown me that partnership means walking beside someone, not behind or in front of them. I love you. And I can't wait to spend the rest of my life showing you that love every single day. I love you too, Jerome said. And I promise to spend the rest of my life proving that not all men are like the one who let you go. Some of us know a good thing when we see it. And we fight to keep it. We kissed. Everyone cheered. Caleb and Zoe ran around us in circles, laughing with pure joy. The reception was on the beach. We ate, danced, told stories. My mother gave a speech about how proud she was of me. Nicole gave a speech about my strength. Jerome's daughter gave a speech about how happy she was to have siblings. But the most surprising speech came from Brandon's mother. She'd asked permission to attend and to say a few words. I'd almost said no, but Jerome convinced me to let her come. I'm not here to make excuses for my son, she said, standing in front of everyone. What he did was unforgivable. But I'm here because Tasha allowed me to be part of my grandchildren's lives again, even after I defended Brandon's actions. She showed me grace I didn't deserve. And I want to publicly thank her for being the strong, incredible woman she is. These children are lucky to have her as their mother. Jerome is lucky to have her as his wife. And I'm lucky she gave me another chance to be in their lives. I hadn't expected that. I stood up and hugged her, both of us crying. Because healing wasn't just about moving forward. Sometimes it was about allowing others the space to grow too. That night, after the twins were asleep in their room and the guests had left, Jerome and I walked along the beach together. The moon was full, reflecting off the water. Are you happy? Jerome asked, taking my hand. Completely. No regrets. Not one. Brandon gave me the greatest gift when he left. He showed me I didn't need him. That I'm capable of building an incredible life on my own. Meeting you was the bonus, not the necessity. That's what makes us work, Jerome said. We don't need each other. We choose each other. Exactly. We walked in comfortable silence for a while. Then Jerome said, I know you don't talk about Brandon much anymore, but I want you to know something. What he did to you wasn't your fault. You didn't fail at marriage. He failed at being a decent human being. I know that now. It took a long time, but I really do know it. Good. Because I never want you to doubt your worth. You're extraordinary, Tasha. The business, the nonprofit, the way you've raised Caleb and Zoe, it's all extraordinary. So are you, I said, stopping to face him. You chose a woman with baggage, with trauma, with 2 kids and a complicated history. You could have had someone easy, but you chose me. You're not complicated. You're complete. There's a difference. That night, lying in bed next to my husband, I thought about the journey, the hospital, the abandonment, the divorce, the slow, painful process of healing, building a business, raising my children, learning to trust again. Brandon had tried to destroy me. He'd abandoned me at my lowest point, thinking I wouldn't survive. But not only had I survived, I'd thrived beyond anything he could have imagined. My books had sold over 1 million copies worldwide. My nonprofit had helped over 1,000 women escape dangerous situations. My podcast